Shannon, thanks for your help on those spots. I appreciate that.
Yep.
In a perfect world, I could load them and you wouldn't have to deal with it. Maybe we'll get there someday. Going to pimp the San Antonio Polar Bear Club t-shirt because I see when I put this screen here, I got all of this real estate here that nothing's on it. So I thought I got to, either put messages or pictures or something. So I thought I'd put this shirt, but it doesn't really work. I'll keep working on that. Let's see. Pendejo, first person in. Foam Foot 420, actually tied with Pendejo. Good morning, everybody. My voice is a little rough this morning. That's not good. That's not good for radio. Pendejo, last time I checked, Russell Wilson. I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Russell Westbrook. I'll go on record there. Russell Wilson has taken his team to 2 Super Bowls. Oh, okay, Jason. Thank you, Jason Garcia. All right, we won't even talk about it because Jason knows for sure Russell Wilson will not be leaving Seattle. All right, my bad. We'll just
end of discussion.
Throw that one out. Thanks, Jason, for killing 3 segments. All right. Woo! Oh, wow. Now Jason going playing the race card on Jerry Jones. Yeah, like he's never gotten along with African-American players. Huh?
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Friday. It is Friday. Yay. It is the final Friday of February. And I have had about enough of February. So I'm cool with it. We will never have another Friday in February in 2021 ever. Woo! Welcome into the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, and in just a few moments as well, we will introduce our soundscape stylist, who is very spectacular. But first, Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, and I don't even know. Not even hopefully. I was going to say hopefully the first segment won't go to the dogs like it did yesterday, but that was actually kind of fun. And speaking of dogs, one of the coolest things I saw you tweet and put out on your social media for people who were listening to the show yesterday, you got at least for now, you're the caretaker of, you're going to give her to your aunt. Is it a boy or a girl? I said her, a dachshund puppy.
Little boy.
Boy, see, got to get my genders right. But no, you released a slow motion video of the dachshund yesterday. And what was cool was this other dachshund in the slow motion, like 8-second video for like a moment, like flies into the frame and like sniffs the dachshund or makes contact, and then whoosh, with ears flopping, flows back out. It was a very cool, artistic, fun video that you posted.
Yeah, puppies running is always great in slow motion because they still don't really have the pattern down, so they're just a little floppy. And then, that was my dog, Shipley, who, she's one. She still acts very puppy, so she's obsessed. They played all afternoon yesterday.
Very cool. So anyway, if you want to go see that video, find Shannon on social media. One of the ways is on Twitter at Shannon B. Sweeney. I'm on Twitter at Chris Duel. And our soundscape stylist, the pride of Oklahoma Christian University, a man who turned down a scholarship to Oklahoma Satanic University. All it would have cost him was his soul. They told him at Oklahoma Satanic University, we'll pay for the tuition. Just sign this document here for Beelzebub. And he said, no, I'd rather go pay my own damn tuition. Maybe he didn't say damn, to Oklahoma Christian University. He is on Twitter at SATX Foxy Grandpa, the one, the only, the lovely and talented Jeremy Fouts. What is up?
Good morning, guys. Happy For Pete's Sake Day.
For Pete's Sake Day. Okay, we got too many days. That's just a saying. That's like, so it's not even about a guy, or is it about a guy named Pete?
It says the creators of Pete's Sake Day, Thomas and Ruth Roy, described the day by saying, a world wonders, after all these years, who is Pete and why do we or do we not do things for his sake? So it's like a day of discovery, I guess. Who is Pete?
See, I would say Pete, Shannon, is Pete Carroll, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and Russell Westbrook wants out. I don't care what Jason Garcia tells us on Facebook Live. According to sources, Russell Westbrook not getting along with Pete Carroll. The marriage has gone bad. He would like to go to another team. He's got a no trade clause in his contract, so he has to be happy with where the Seahawks might trade him to, if they trade him at all. But one of those three teams, Shannon and Jeremy and everybody listening, is America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
This is so selfish of Russell. There's already so much going on with quarterbacks, and to throw your hat in the ring, and specifically to the Cowboys, because the Cowboys, being the Cowboys, will mess around and dabble just to see what's out there when they should be focusing on Dak Prescott and Dak Prescott alone.
But see, now they got options. And they got a guy.
Jerry always thinks he has options, though. He can't focus on one thing.
Well, and see, part of it here, and apparently I said Russell Westbrook again. I get my Russells confused. So my Russell Wilson. Here's one of the things I brought up when he was walking out the door yesterday to Tanner Carlson. And it's possible in human nature, Shannon, and especially if a dude or a dudette is a billionaire like Jerry Jones is, everybody's got an ego. Some people, Mahatma Gandhi maybe had less of an ego. Mother Teresa maybe had less of an ego. But I guarantee you, Jerry Jones has an ego. We know that. And sometimes you're in a negotiation, and who knows where Jerry's head is or where his ego is right now. And I think it's possible in this Dak Prescott negotiation that Jerry Jones might be thinking, hey, Dak, I made you. And I know that's not true. Dak made himself. Dak had an opportunity as a rookie, and Tony Romo got injured, and he seized the opportunity. And even who's the offensive coordinator now? Dinty Moore. He was injured too. He was the backup quarterback to Tony Romo at the time, Mr. Kellen Moore. But in Jerry Jones' world, maybe he feels like, hey, man, we drafted you. We gave you the opportunity to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and here you're looking a gift horse in the mouth, and you're wanting a lot more money than I want to give you right now. So even if all things are equal, and Shannon, I got a feeling you may argue all things are not equal because Dak is younger than Russell Wilson, and Dak might be more desirable to you. than Russell Wilson as quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But even if all things are not equal, to make a point, Jerry Jones, if a deal could be done here, Jerry Jones might say, you know what? I got all this money I was going to give you, Dak. I'm not necessarily going to give it to you. I'll give it to Russell Wilson. What do you think?
Again, selfish on Russell Wilson. And, as of yesterday, it seemed like Dak held all the cards in his hand as far as negotiations with the Cowboys. But now you dangle Russell Wilson in front of Jerry Jones, and he can throw that back in Dak's face. Like, look, I can get this guy if we can't come to an agreement. So I don't know if maybe in some world that this dangling of Russell Wilson will make things speed up for the Cowboys just to nip that in the bud. But gosh darn it, Russell. I thought you were Mr. Unlimited. I thought you were Seattle. We got a deal. What happened? You want to go to an offense that focuses on throwing the ball. You want to go there where it's an offensive minded head coach. Well, guess what? Throwing the ball did to you in the Super Bowl. That's why they switched to run. Drain
it was an ill-conceived play. That was Pete Carroll's fault.
Yes.
According to the Legion of Boom.
But that was your pass-first offense. And look what that got you. One less Super Bowl.
They weren't passing that much. They weren't in the rhythm of passing that he would be in the offense of the quarterback whisperer, Mike McCarthy.
I like Russell, but I want Dak. I want a future.
I want a Super Bowl. And Russell's taken 2 teams to a Super Bowl, and he won one of them. And if that ill-advised pass wasn't called by Pete Carroll, whom I love, and I thank him for USC's championship that was taken away against Oklahoma, 55-17.
But would you rather be one and done with Russell in the Super Bowl or have a guy like Dak who could potentially take you to multiple?
I don't know. See, is Dak all that? I mean, I think you and
that
I,
is the
and a
question.
lot of Cowboy fans, have an inflated perception of Dak Prescott. I think he's a barely in the top 10 quarterback. He's not a top 5. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Drew Brees in his prime, but he's Romo and maybe better than Romo. Maybe. Or not. Or maybe he's Romo-esque. We have seen Russell Wilson lead 2 teams to the Super Bowl, and he should be 2-0 in the Super Bowl, if not 4. And you're right, that bad pass on the goal line against the Patriots when they should have run it in for the Super Bowl victory. But something else you bring up, Shannon, and I'll tell you, I'll get to that right after the cash contest here in a second. But you bring something else up about Jerry Jones and the negotiation. Even if this isn't real, or this Russell Wilson thing, and even if it's not totally real, Jerry Jones is a billionaire, and he didn't become a billionaire by having bad negotiating skills. I feel quite confident that at the very least, Jerry's going to say to Dak Prescott and his representatives, well, we got this Russell Wilson possibility here, so we either come to an accord now, take it or leave it, or we need to move on and explore Russell Wilson. That will come into play. You're right. Dak, until yesterday, did seem to hold all the cards in this negotiation. All right, more coming up on that, a whole lot more. And the world is upside down. There are reports out there the Spurs may be shopping DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge before the trade deadline. And it's like a legitimate NBA reporter saying that, not some dude in his mom's basement who has a blog. We'll get into that a whole lot more. But first, right now, it is time for the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. And it goes a little bit something like this.
Let us give you money. Your chance to win $1,000 is right now. Text the nationwide keyword green to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. Once again, that's green to 200-200. Good luck.
Green is the key word. Good word. Represents money, unless it's Draymond Green, and I never liked that guy, but that's just that. We'll do this again, the cash contest at 7:20. We do it 12 times throughout the day at 20 minutes after the hour, all the way till 8:20. this evening. So keep listening. Hope you win some cash. Somebody's going to win it. It may as well be you. Chris Duel show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. So how old is Dak? I think Russell Wilson's 32, right? I should Google these things before I just boldly dive into them. So I will Google these things, but I do think Russell Wilson's 32.
He's 32. He'll be 33 in November, and Dak is currently 27 and will turn 28 in July.
32, 33, 27. Okay. So,
and obviously age is but a number when you have a guy like Tom Brady playing to the age that he is and continuing to play. And I heard earlier on my drive-in this morning that Russell received the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So he was at the Super Bowl. He stayed and he watched the game.
Yes.
He watched it next to the commissioner. And they said that he saw on the field Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, but he saw them with players that they wanted to play with and the great relationship that they each have with their coaches. So he wants somewhere not only offensive minded, but a place that will give him and not only hear him out, but take him seriously, unlike the Houston Texans and Deshaun, where it's like, I hear you, but no, not really. But you think the Cowboys are that destination with a guy like Jerry Jones, who we're now saying with Dak, it's like, I brought you into this world, I could take you right out of it.
I don't necessarily, the jury is out for me on Mike McCarthy. I think, you look at Cowboys last year and you look at what Aaron Rodgers has done without Mike McCarthy, and more there's evidence that maybe the problem was Mike McCarthy in Green Bay when it went sour with Aaron Rodgers. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's the quarterback whisperer. I hope he brings it all together. I'm a Cowboys fan. They're my favorite team on the face of this earth. But so do I think that that's the destination where Russell Wilson should go to get the kind of love and relationship and rapport that he needs with a coach and a team? Not necessarily, but if we are to believe the reporting, and most people believe the reporting, that Dallas is one of those three teams. So it was Dallas, it is the Chicago Bears.
And I think you said the Cardinals, too, the Saints.
It was
and I think the Cardinals were on that list.
Yeah.
Because Cliff, I would assume, because of Cliff. But I think Cliff and Kyler are.
Oh, no. Reading
hair.
Reading a four-team list. I had heard. Okay. According to Brady Henderson and Jeremy Fowler, and this is via Adam Schefter, who knows what he's talking about. It's a four-team list: Dallas Cowboys, New Orleans Saints, Las Vegas Raiders, and Chicago Bears. Now, first of all, why would you go to the Bears? That has been a mismanaged team forever. I would jettison the Bears right away. I may jettison the Cowboys right away. Now, the New Orleans Saints, Shannon, my God, from Russell Wilson's perspective, that looked like a ready-made Super Bowl team to me.
Right.
And from the Saints' perspective, and I think it's just nice PR that Sean Payton reportedly said, if indeed Drew Brees walks away, we're going to have a contest. It's up to either James Winston or Taysom Hill to become the starting. I think that's what you
Which means we're not set in stone.
Back in place. Russell Wilson to the Saints, much as I would love to have him as a Cowboy, sounds like a win-win for Russ and the Saints.
Yeah, and when you talk about the Bears, I don't know, and even the Raiders, I think it's more of a market play. Right, Chicago,
that's
Las
right.
Vegas,
that area, right? I think.
I don't know where he's actually
played in Wisconsin for a while,
but it's being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is the ultimate market play. But
true,
Chicago Bears pretty good. Las Vegas still being shiny and new.
And just to piggyback on your go to the Cowboys, he has an opportunity to do something that Romo did not deliver, and so far Dak has not delivered, but Roger did twice, and Troy did 3 times. If Russell Wilson can go to the Cowboys and deliver a Super Bowl championship for the Cowboys, we've said this before about other, even Dak, he becomes a god.
Yeah,
he becomes a living, walking god.
He'd have a teeny tiny
Roger
statue of
like
himself.
Troy.
Outside of AT&T Stadium, a little teeny tiny Russell Wilson statue.
There would be and there should be. and there would be greatness.
It's so like I also think of Deshaun with this story because Deshaun, and we saw reports yesterday that he has met with David Cooley and he's still asking for a trade. And we know at this point that if he were to come back in Houston, I don't think the fans would have any animosity towards him because I think they understand.
Yeah.
But if I'm a Seattle fan, am I mad at Russell? And if he comes back, am I like, he doesn't want to be here. I don't want you to be here. Go away.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. Or are they mad at Pete Carroll because he let it get to this situation?
I think they're mad at Pete, and I think it's similar to Houston in that, like, hey, you've got this asset. You've got this, and I think we can agree, having gone to 2 Super Bowls and just who he is, Shannon, that Russell Wilson will be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame going to join us at 8:35. Do you agree he's going to the Hall of Fame no matter what?
Yeah, and that Walter Payton Man of the Year certainly helps him out.
So if I'm a Seahawks fan, it's like, you screwed this up. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback in the stable. He's 32 going on 33. He's in his prime right now.
They started hot.
Yes. Keep him happy. Surround him with players who can take him back to the Super Bowl, and let's go, is what I think the attitude is probably among Seattle Seahawks fans. We will talk more of the prospect, the possibility, the desire of Russell Wilson, who I sometimes call Russell Westbrook, to go to the Dallas Cowboys,
We all do it.
the Bears, the Saints, or the Raiders. We'll get into that. Some Spurs rumors from a credible source. Again, I've always said this about the Spurs, and I've watched them since '73, and I've certainly watched every moment of the Greg Popovich, R.C. Buford era. When you think you know what the Spurs are going to do, you don't know, and they will do something different from what you think they're going to do. They are mad geniuses, I tell you. Quick break. Longhorns, Texas Tech, tomorrow. We got to get into that as well. Walter Pasacreta, sports provocateur at 8-ish, and James Allen, Pro Football Hall of Fame at 8:35. More coming up. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. He's Jeremy Fouts. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. Well, I was late there. Sorry about that. I was late. Michelle Johnson says, I am so not a Dak fan whatsoever. See, I'm not there. I like Dak. He's a good man. He's got an excellent work ethic. When he first signed with the Cowboys, he bought a condo or a house close to the practice facility so he wouldn't have to deal with traffic and be there at 6:30 every morning. That's commitment. I did not like him in the strip club with Zeke with the phallic squirt guns once. That was not a good look. I never saw Roger or Troy with their running backs with little.
But he hasn't done anything since. I mean, he was like, I see you, I hear you, I will do better. And he's got a girlfriend / maybe fiance who. Yeah,
usually if you're a dude and you have a girlfriend, you stop going into strip clubs with the squirt guns shaped like a man's body part. Yep. Most girlfriends think you really don't need to do that. That's really not a good look. Let's see. Take a look at it. Where's my Facebook? There it is. Michael Rodriguez, buenos dias. Jason Garcia says Saints and Jets. I hope you're not saying that Russell Wilson would want to be a Jet. I don't think he would. Saints, man, they look like a ready-made Super Bowl team for him. Wow, Jason says, as a Hawks fan, I think Coach Carroll must go. He's gotten in the way a few times. Get the team there and let them play. I don't know Pete Carroll's relationship with ownership in Seattle. I think it's pretty good, but, this may come down to it's either him or me, and it may come down to blowing out Pete Carroll. And, I mean, you've got Russell Wilson is beloved, and at 32 has 5 or 6 prime years left, I would think. 5 may be pushing it. Maybe 3 or 5. Well, James Olivares says, or Olivares, thank you. I mispronounce everybody's name, James. Don't take it personally. James says, DeMar DeRozan needs to stay, and LA has no real trade value. And as soon as I read it, it scrolls out of view. Just finish the season and drop him off via a bus stop. Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm reading, a team might want to take on the expiring LaMarcus Aldridge contract because it may help them, financially and with manipulating their salary caps. But, yeah, although before this latest injury, LaMarcus seemed to be taking his game to another level. Hector Gomez, good morning. Anthony Del Toro. Fonzie J. Rodriguez from Los Angeles. Fonzie, thanks for joining us from L.A. Have an original Tommy's burger for me. Best location on Rampart and Beverly. But Fonzie, as you know, that's a very dangerous location. So wear a flak jacket. And duck if you hear gunshots. Pendejo, Clint Proctor. Clint, surprisingly not talking trash about Texas Tech versus Texas yet.
They're on a 3-game losing skid, and the last one was to an unranked Oklahoma State.
So maybe he's a little shell-shocked.
Yeah, and foam foot, there's no straw. 2nd day in a row.
That's just wrong.
All right, I'm making it work. I'm a trooper.
Yeah, Fonzie, the original Tommy's is my favorite hamburger. A lot of people think, 'cause there's no Tommy's in Texas, obviously. So I do like In-N-Out Burger, and so people think In-N-Out's my favorite burger. Not true. It's the original Tommy's, which is a chili cheeseburger. And Fonzie knows this living in L.A., but on this chili cheeseburger, they have this thick, insanely thick, succulent tomato slice that they put on it. And the tomatoes are fresh, California grown, spectacular. I gained about 15 pounds. I was a lean, mean fighting machine when I got to USC. And the Rampart and Beverly location is about a 10-minute drive from USC. So late, and they're open 24 hours. So late at night, 2 a.m, many a Tommy's run for chili cheeseburgers and their chili cheese fries with onions, which are spectacular. Jeff McClanahan, welcome. James Lane. Taylor Charlotte or Charlotte Taylor. Yeah, and back to this, and I know you wrote it several minutes ago. Michelle Johnson joins us from Marysville, Kansas. In all caps, I am so not a Dak fan whatsoever. And like the sick ready to throw up emoji. See, I don't know how anybody has that negative of a reaction to Dak Prescott. I mean, I think Dak's good. I think it was before we were working together, Shannon. I went through quarterback by quarterback in the NFL, and I wound up with Dak at maybe number 12. And that was like going into last season. And before the injury, Dak was very impressive. And I think maybe playing his best football before the injury. And that's something else that most people overlook. He's coming off the injury. I know you're 100% sure he's going to be back to what he was before, but should we be 100% sure? I'm not so sure. But so I had Dak at like 12-ish, I think. I forget what it was. So he's a top 10 quarterback. He's maybe number 8, 9, 10. But I don't know how you vehemently dislike him. I'm just not so sure that number 8, 9, 10 gets you to the Super Bowl. I think maybe you need 1 through 5. And I think maybe Russell Wilson's number 5.
I think we've got a spammer in here again.
Do we? Is that Taylor Charlotte? Yep,
yeah.
Sure is. Let me kindly and enjoyably blow out Taylor Charlotte. And you are banned from the page. I think I can also ban you from the stream. I got 2 options, ban from page and ban from stream. My God. And who looks at it and go, ooh, yeah, I'd like to be friends with you. That's a great idea. Spammer. Taylor Charlotte, who's probably some dude in reality. Okay. Is it Ciara? Okay.
Sierra.
See, I don't even know. If it's Sierra, then spell it like Sierra. Like Sierra, not Ciarra. Because that looks like Ciara to me. Sierra.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy. All this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy.
I'm not sure who that is, but that sounds like a woman who should be living in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex with her multimillionaire husband. That's what that sounds like to me. I'm just saying.
She doesn't need a Las Vegas residency
to promote her
music career.
L.A. She could have a big concert at Jerry World. And I
don't think she could fill it out. I think she could fill out a theater in Las Vegas a couple nights a week, but Jerry World.
I don't know.
I think it's too big for her.
If her husband was the quarterback of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, I think that would open up her fan base to a whole bunch of new fans. That is Sierra. I always thought it was like Ciara. See,
you must have never heard her song 1 2 Step, because the gentleman clearly states Sierra.
I have not. That's why you're here, Shannon. You broadened my musical and pop cultural horizons.
And for anyone who's a Post Malone fan, we obviously know he's a Dallas Cowboy guy. He mentioned Dak in his song "Wow," and I haven't heard it yet, but he released a song I think yesterday, and it's talked about how the Cowboys make him cry.
Oh God, yeah,
same,
tough.
Same.
Now, Sierra, there have been photos that she's released over the years, like where she's in bed with Russell Wilson and stuff. I mean, is she regarded? Is she cool? Is she attention? I don't want to use the term that comes to mind. Is she an attention grabber? What's her deal?
I think she knows how to work the media right, but she's not the biggest superstar.
Okay.
But overall, she's well liked. She's pretty. She's not someone who has a lot of baggage.
You know,
She has a kid from a previous rapper.
Ew.
I don't know which one. But she's, pretty. She's not very controversial.
Okay.
So people are pretty cool with her.
And I think I've heard that she and Russell Wilson do, philanthropic things, that they do great things. I
They actually teamed up with Russell Westbrook recently to help some small businesses.
See, that's going to just confuse me further because I keep accidentally calling Russell Wilson Russell Westbrook. So if Sierra is like hanging with Russell Westbrook, now that's a little weird too, isn't it? It's like he's a big time superstar athlete. So, and his name is Russell W. And I got a thing going with Russell Wilson. If I'm Russell Wilson, is that a little weird?
I don't think so. Russell Wilson is such a goober. I think sometimes he lacks some awareness that I think that would just
go right
over his head.
Oh. It's like if my wife goes, "Hey, Chris, I'm going to go do a fundraiser with Mike Taylor." It's like, Mike Taylor? He's the afternoon guy on Chicken 7. So you're going to go do something with Mike Taylor or not me? I don't know. But if she did something with you or Jeremy and you're on this show, then I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this.
Maybe. That's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to flush it all out.
Or for you Austin people, if my wife said, "Hey, I'm going to do a fundraiser with Rod Babers." Wait a minute. Come on. Rod Babers. I used to be on the
he doesn't even go here.
I know. I used to be on the sports buffet with Rod Babers and Craig Way, believe it or not. I used to participate. For a while, they did the sports buffet between San Antonio and Austin, and it was Rod Babers and Craig Way, and I was sports update boy in San Antonio for them for a while. So they're very, very funny.
Great.
Was that your official title?
I think, yeah.
Sports update boy.
And that was sports update boy, Chris Duel. Chris, what's going on? Yeah, that was pretty much it.
I have Russell's contract pulled up.
Good.
Because I was interested. Okay, if the Cowboys do take him, are they saving money? Because
yes.
Obviously,
according to the Athletic, yes, but not
right.
If you agree with that.
So in 2021, his cap hit is $32 million. 2022, $37 million. 2023, $40 million. So to me, it looks like they save a couple million compared to giving Dak what he's reportedly asked for, what he's reported worth in the market right now.
Yeah. And that's I
like,
read
like
that
you may only get Russell for until that contract ends, and depending on how he produces, then you may be back in the same boat of we've either got to really pay this guy or now we've got to find somebody else because we can't afford him.
Well, wouldn't it be the same thing? Well, and here you got Dak wanting a shorter contract. Right. I mean, it might not be the same number of years, and you would have to come to that moment sooner with Russell Wilson. But you bring up a huge point, Shannon, if you look at the ledger, and a lot of people say, hey, when you make a decision, just get a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle, pros and cons. One of the pros for the Dallas Cowboys, if a deal came together to get Russell Wilson as your quarterback instead of Dak Prescott, one of the pros is, you're right, the contract that Russell Wilson currently has is more friendly to the Dallas Cowboys. It's less expensive than Dak Prescott currently wants, and therefore would allow you more money and more flexibility to go after other players. So there's a consideration.
Well, and one thing with Russell, right, is that he has a no trade clause.
Yes.
So he has to be cool with where they go. I'm wondering now for Dak if that is part of his conversation. Especially seeing this strange offseason with quarterbacks going every which way.
It sounds like if you're a valued quarterback, and I imagine currently on his rookie deal with the franchise tag, I imagine that he does not yet have a no trade.
And Russell obviously won a Super Bowl before this current contract he's under was signed, so he had that going for him.
Louisa Alanis brings up, and by the way, she had a birthday yesterday, so happy birthday +1 to Louisa Alanis. She writes this, Shannon, and I think she's right. Isn't Russell Wilson the guy that wouldn't have sex unless he was married. Now, I know Tim Tebow played it that way. Russell Wilson and Sierra also wait until they got married. Do you know that? You're more of a Sierra, and perhaps you know more about Russell Wilson than I do. Shannon, is that an accurate statement?
Well, I don't know much about their private life in that regard. I feel like I saw headlines, but I think it was more of like in between the time that they were engaged and then to be married.
Okay. Now,
again, that's
what says about your quarterback.
I try to keep myself out of those other people's business like that.
But it is weird when people go public about that, and I do vaguely remember those stories about.
Do you? But I don't remember asking.
Say that again.
But I don't remember asking for that.
No, I know. No, it's the same deal. It's like if indeed they put that out there, and we do know that Tim Tebow made that public, and I guess part of the reasoning for Tim Tebow was Tim Tebow wants everyone to know that he's a devout Christian, and I think
wasn't it in his book that he wrote?
Probably.
Talk about all of those types of things.
I didn't read Tim Tebow's book. Did you read Tim Tebow's book?
No.
I like Tebow. I'm not dissing him in any way. But so anyway, we died. Louisa, Louisa brings up a sex issue, and that got my attention. So in The Athletic yesterday, and I might pull that story up and read from it a little bit later in the show, but what they did was they got a beat writer from each of the teams that Russell Wilson might want to go to. So they got a beat. I think it was John Machado from the Dallas, who writes about the Cowboys for The Athletic. But they got a beat writer for the Bears. They got a beat writer for the the Las Vegas Raiders, a beat writer for the New Orleans Saints, and they all presented a deal to Seattle to trade for Russell Wilson, and the Seattle beat writer had to make a decision on who he would approve and who he thinks the Seahawks would approve, and the winner was the Dallas Cowboys because the Cowboys would be trading, among other things, Dak Prescott to Seattle along with Michael Gallup and the number 10 overall pick for Russell Wilson. And the thinking was Seattle doesn't want to start all over with a new quarterback. Seattle wants a very good quarterback right now. None of those teams could offer that. I guess you could argue maybe Derek Carr would be a possibility if the Raiders were going to offer that, but I don't know if he has a no-trade clause or not. It would be a high price to pay for the Cowboys to give up that number 10 overall pick. But again, I think this might be part of the equation here, might be an ego contest between Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott at this point. And at which point, I think all bets are off. But some actual beat writers who are paid to analyze their team all got together yesterday and determined that the team that can offer the best deal to Seattle for Russell Wilson is the Dallas Cowboys.
I hate this. So every day you ask me how I feel about Dak getting a contract, and today I feel the worst that I've felt in a long time. And I'm now looking more into Sierra, and she is from Fort Hood, Texas.
Ooh, she would like to come back to Texas, maybe. Or she probably grew up a Cowboys fan, like her dad or her brothers in Fort Hood were probably Cowboy fans.
And like I think back to Tony Romo when he was dating Jessica Simpson. Like cameras were always going between the two.
Yeah.
They a lot of people blamed her for in that relationship on why he was not performing in the way they wanted him to. But of course, Jerry loved it because it was just attention. It was viewers tuning in because they wanted to see Tony fail, and then they wanted him to throw that interception and then get the money shot of Jessica Simpson just still, oh yeah, that's my man.
Do you remember her? I vividly remember her up there in her pink number 9 Tony Romo jersey. They cut to her in the pink number 9 Tony Romo jersey.
Right. And Sierra, the bigger star quality. Maybe she'll write you some hit songs, Jerry. I don't know, but this is it's looking worse and worse, and I don't feel great about it.
So do you see Sierra as a bigger star now than Jessica Simpson was during the Tony Romo relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm not that hip with Sierra. I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
So
Because Jessica Simpson was most known at that point for her like TV show with former husband Nick Lachey, where she was asked, "Tuna is chicken of the sea."
Yeah, she was not the brightest bulb in the
Buffalo
box.
wings are made from buffalo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man. Now, to be honest, Shannon, I don't think this is going to happen. First of all, even if Seattle moved Russell Wilson, it's a 1 in 4 shot. He's at 25% per team. And I really think if you look at New Orleans, if you're Sean Payton, you really want to get this deal done. And if you're Russell Wilson, of those 4 teams, so I think New Orleans is even a better than 25% shot if it came to that. Yeah, and we talked about this. If Seattle is smart, he's your guy. And again, this is the same argument for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and they don't show up right away unless you're going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we saw the Cowboys in the vast quarterback wasteland in between Troy Aikman and Tony Romo. So I believe Seattle's going to find a way to fix this, but it is what you brought up earlier. It's a bargaining chip now for Jerry Jones that he did not have 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and Russell obviously very good at playing the game. All of these leaks that are just dripping out, and kind of Seattle a little bit firing back here. But gosh darn it, it's not helpful for me and my Cowboys and my desire for them to sign my quarterback of the future, Dak Prescott.
A 2-time Super Bowl quarterback, a guy who's got a Super Bowl ring.
All I envision is like Dak goes to Seattle and then ends up in the Super Bowl, and I'm left with Russell Wilson.
We would not like
doesn't do anything for me.
That would hurt. That would almost feel like Kawhi Leonard winning championships if you're a Spurs fan.
What happened to loyalty?
Good point.
Happened to commitment.
I know. Roger spent his whole career there. So did Troy. Come on now.
You're telling me it's all about money? I don't buy it.
It's not all about money. Dale Hansen says Jerry Jones' ego is bigger than his wallet, according to John Williams. Quick break. Sports update more than we're back at you. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! I'm getting some coffee because I need coffee. Please. Wearing my mask. Dak and a first round for Wilson. Yeah, and Michael, the deal in the Athletic said Dak, I think Michael Gallup, and a first rounder, the number 10 overall for Russell Wilson. That I think is too much. They're not. I think Russell's a slightly better quarterback than Dak, but that price is too high for me, I think.
Swipe on you. Show your Tinder pics and see who would swipe on you.
your favorite creator?
Not Apple said their biggest mistake was not acquiring Netflix. No, your biggest mistake was putting that YouTube album on my phone.
Guys, Zoom is great, but you think you could maybe invite me next time in person? Thought we were friends.
Didn't even get to the poll question. What kind of a talk show host am I? Full hour. Didn't get to the poll question. We'll do that.
Y'all, Zoom is great, but you think maybe you could invite me over next time? Or just y'all are together? What? I thought we were friends.
Let's see.
Y'all,
Wow.
Zoom is great, but you think you could invite me over next time? I mean, y'all are together. I thought we were friends.
Are you producing a TikTok? The voting currently, just straight up, who would you rather have as the Cowboys quarterback? Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson? 40 votes in. Russell Wilson, 52.5% of the vote. Dak Prescott, 47.5% of the vote. Cowboy fans have spoken or are speaking. Or there's just trolls like Charlotte Taylor, who was in here earlier. Steve DeRocco is in here. Steve DeRocco, founding member of the San Antonio Polar Bear Club. As you may have seen on Facebook, Steve DeRocco, Bill Brendel, great guy, great American, and former general manager of the Crockett Hotel downtown behind the Alamo. Bill Brendel would like to be in the San Antonio Polar Bear Club. So we will have to invite him, initiate him. We'll have to have a board meeting with Doug McCoy. But he says, I'll go in the water. He's serious. Wes Perkins, you and Clint Proctor not yapping a lot yet about the Texas Tech Texas game tomorrow. I'm just saying. You guys are a little quiet. I'm hearing crickets. And that game is at Texas Tech at United Supermarkets Arena. Woo! The house that Bobby Knight built.
You're a teacher. What about you?
Texas is 14. Tech is 18.
I think you could invite me over next time when y'all are together. I thought we were friends. Y'all, Zoom is great, but you think you could invite me over next time? You're a teacher. What about you? You sell rice? What?
You want to write an email? I've got to write somebody an email real quick.
I'm guessing you were like 11. Like, you know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm guessing you didn't come into career day with a box of instant rice. I'm just picturing you like opening a briefcase and it's all rice. We got white, we got brown. We got cauliflower, that's new. You sound great, but that's the worst job I've ever heard. You're a teacher, what about you? You sell rice? What? I'm guessing that wasn't your dream. I'm guessing you were like 11. Like, you know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm guessing you didn't come into career day with a box of instant rice.
Okay, did that. Woo! Yeah, Louisa, I think that is Shannon playing some audio in her studio. I think. Wes says he'll be watching. It should be a good game. I do. Thank you for remembering and the reminder. Much appreciated, sir. Anything on your radar, Jeremy, that you want to bring to the table that you want to talk about that's on your mind? All right, if it happens, if it's organic. The For Pete's Sake Day, I did not know about that. That was interesting. That would make sense depending on how old that is. You know, whenever that saying began, you know, for Pete's sake. Ah. And is it St. Peter who's like at the pearly gates? Is that the dude who's got like the checklist? Okay. So yeah, for Pete's sake. Here we come. 7 o'clock hour. Fun. Friday.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah.
Now, Chris Duel.
You made it through the week. A much better week this week than last week when we had Snowmageddon and the Icepocalypse. So weird, Shannon. I'm driving to work this morning, and it was maybe 57 degrees and drizzly. And there was a time when 57 and drizzly, I would go, ugh, this weather sucks. I don't like this. I was like, 57 and drizzly, this is enjoyable. Woo! Anything above 32 now, where there's not ice on the hill where I try to leave in the morning so I can't get to work, and where I'm worried that I might die on the road or I might become stranded in 7-degree temperatures. So I never thought I'd enjoy 57 windy and drizzly, but I did this morning.
I do love me some little cold, little rainy weather. It makes me feel less bummish when I take my afternoon naps.
Yes.
But I think we're expecting a couple of days of this, and I'm sure much like the exaggerated length of snow we had, I will get tired of it. We had a few really nice days earlier in the week.
Yeah, like Monday, Tuesday, we're like 75 and sunny.
I need that
So do
on
I.
repeat for a while.
And very shortly, I mean, we're at February 26th, so we're almost in March. And I've always, growing up in South Texas, once you can make it to March, you have one really big cold snap in February. We had a really big one this year, but I don't ever recall it being ridiculous in March. But once you get to March, it's like, all right, spring is essentially here. And then you got, I think, right around the 8th or something. I looked it up yesterday. The daylight savings time comes back. Daylight savings time comes back pretty quickly,
Is
like
that
by
where
the
I
second
lose
week of March.
sleep? Is that where I lose?
Let's see, spring forward, fall back. So forward, fall back. So
I can't.
Then sunset doesn't happen till like 7:40,
Which is not. Well, it is on the weekends. During the week, I'm like, here I go to bed.
Yeah.
Still bright out. I'm excited to see little white girls taking bluebonnet pictures on the side of the highway. That's how I know spring has sprung.
And is it always little white girls? Is it not as many ladies of color? Is it always little white girls?
I am that person. So
That's
I'm
funny.
speaking from personal experience. And it only takes one bluebonnet. Just the one to get excited.
But I will say, and even as a guy, I'll be scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or I see those photos. I go, I stop and look at them. I mean, I know everybody's doing their cliche, but I like them. They are Pluto, Texas.
They're here one day and they're gone the next. You got to take advantage.
Very, very. So, wow, the blue bonnets are coming. I wonder if the crazy freeze and the single-digit temperatures are going to have an effect on the blue bonnets. I wonder if the seeds in the soil might just say, screw it, they're not coming out in 2021. We'll see you in 2022. I hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I have a lot of red plants at my house.
Yeah.
For the sake of their Instagrams,
I
they
know.
need this.
Then they're going to have to take more
It's
photos.
their Super Bowl.
Imagine that. Most of the restaurants are either closed down or it's hard to get into. So the cliche photos of your food are waning, and they're not what they used to be in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then if you didn't have bonnets, same extent, my God, what did little white girl do for on Instagram?
Yeah, food pictures have been turned into, this is the same meal I've made for the last 3 months. Here's another angle of it.
Enjoy my macaroni and cheese.
Or for some, it was, if they saw my TikTok this week of the cake I made.
You made a
and
cake.
fell on cue. I was trying to like show it off and I angled the plate too high and it flipped on the icing side and it was a sad day.
What kind of a cake? German chocolate? What was it?
Yellow cake, chocolate icing, classic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
Not from scratch.
Okay.
It was for sure a box.
But do you have baking or cooking skills?
Yeah. I have a couple things that I can whip up.
Wow. See, I got to see your
Okay.
it's like nothing. I have to order out.
But you know how to use a microwave,
I
though.
do know how to use a microwave. And I got friends who can cook. Well, and I don't even have grilling skills worth a darn. And if you're going to be Maine in Texas, you better have some grilling skills. And I don't. But I eat. But see, all my friends, like, Steve Duraco is on Facebook. He grilled. Friends of mine are men who grill, and it's like, so I let them grill, let them do their manly thing, and I will drink beer and go, oh, that's some good grilling, Rock. When's those ribs going to be ready? And then I will eat them along with ice cold beer.
I would say you're smarter for that.
Thank you.
Why waste your time and energy in learning that skill when you already have people around you? Yeah.
And we don't have him today, but Paul Alexander, he's usually with us at this time, in fact, on Fridays. He's a news director of a TV station, and he had crazy morning, so he'll join us again next week. But that's a dude who grills, he barbecues. He's from Lockhart, Texas, which he will fight you because he says Lockhart, Texas is the Texas barbecue capital. So yeah, I mean, but again, I've been at parties at Paul's place, and I mean, he's up at sunrise beginning to grill. And it's like, I'm sleeping in until 11 or 12. I'm rolling into the party at 1. He's got some grilling ready for me to eat and drink beer with, and it's all good.
I feel like the only way in which you might suffer with this is you then have to hear the story of where they got the meat, how they picked this particular cut, when they took it out of the fridge, what they, seasonings and how long and when they flip that whole thing, which I don't find interesting at all. I just want if it either tastes good or it doesn't, and if it doesn't, I'm leaving.
See, I'm with you on this, Shannon. I don't find that stuff interesting either, and I appreciate you affirming me for not spending the brain matter on learning that stuff because I just wasn't. I'm into eating it. Tastes good. But I'm not into creating it.
We don't need to know how everything is made.
Got to check in with Jeremy Fouts on this one. Jeremy, you're a Texan. You've spent time in Oklahoma. Do you grill? Do you have either any grilling or any cooking skills whatsoever?
No, I think my ancestors are looking down on me at shame. I'm not a culinary expert by any means. So I fully agree with the both of you. The wrinkles in my brain are not going to anything with cooking.
Wow. This is Texas blasphemy. I'm sure there are people listening right now going, oh my God, all three of them. There's no grillers among them.
And when you talk cooking, I'm a big fan of Gordon Ramsay. I feel like he's my spirit animal. I know most spirit animals aren't supposed to be other humans, but I wish I had that within me to, when I am frustrated with someone, be as aggressive as he is, but then still get respect and not be called, the female dog. And I love his shows. I've been to a ton of his restaurants. He's fantastic. And because of that is my cooking training.
Well, cool. So you don't shun the world of cooking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I live alone. If I want to eat, something's got to happen in the kitchen.
Well, or there needs to be, in my life, there needs to be drive-thrus. There needs to be takeout. Because nothing's happening in the kitchen. Unless I've got some leftover Whataburger in a bag that needs to be microwaved. So, all right. We went through that entire 6 o'clock hour, Shannon, without mentioning the poll question, which I think is pretty obvious. It's pretty direct. It's pretty simple.
And it's pretty neck and neck. So people need to get over there and vote.
So do you care to reveal the poll question?
Yes, sir. So with reports that the Dallas Cowboys are on Russell Wilson's trade wish list, who would you rather have as the quarterback of America's team, Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson currently leading with 52% of the vote.
See, and it's neck and neck. It's probably within the margin of error if we were in having an election. But I'm a little surprised. I would have thought, because Cowboy fans love Dak Prescott, and I would have thought it would have been Dak Prescott 60% to 40%. By 20 points. And it's right now Russell Wilson by about 5 points, 52-47. So I find here was I was listening in San Antonio yesterday to the Mike Taylor show, Shannon. And Mike Taylor's talking to Sam Freese, who was on this show quite a bit. And they were talking about Dak Prescott, and this Russell Wilson thing came up. And Mike Taylor asked a very astute question of Sam Freese. Sam Freese, his favorite Cowboy right now is Dak Prescott. And, in previous years, I think, our favorite Cowboys have been Tony Romo or or Jason Witten or DeMarcus Ware in recent years, maybe. Obviously, back in the day, Troy Aikman, Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. But the question was, in case they don't sign or they trade Dak Prescott, who's your second favorite Cowboy? If Dak Prescott leaves, who's your favorite Cowboy going to be? And Sam Freese couldn't come up with an answer.
So, like, whose jersey are you buying?
Yeah. And like Sam was like, well, most of the other guys, like, I got some issues with
Maybe
him. Like
Lamb?
Zeke, like Amari Cooper, like there nobody on that defense really.
Right. I mean, when you think of like buying the jersey, when you put it in those terms, jerseys are not cheap. So that is an investment you are making and hoping for them to ride out the long haul. CeeDee Lamb pops in my mind just with how great his rookie season was, and could it have been even better with Dak? But wide receivers, as we know, are becoming more and more expendable.
Mm-hmm.
Zeke hasn't been the guy we thought we signed.
And Zeke's a knucklehead. He's low key faded,
he's
bro.
not. Yeah,
I'm not wearing a Zeke jersey.
And then, I mean, and on defensive side, I like Leighton Vander Esch. I like Sean Lee. I think if they were healthy full time, they would have more of an impact, and more people would, wear their name on the back of their shirt. But they just are in and out all too. I mean, I asked the question going into every Sunday. Sean Lee playing? Okay, he's not playing. Is Leighton Vander Esch playing?
Well, and whenever Sean Lee plays, my friend Steve Duraco texts me, and we do the over-under on his injury. So it's like, all right,
how long will he play?
Today. What's the over-under in the second quarter? I go, I'll bet you he lasts into the third before the injury.
See, that's.
I know we're sick.
We've got to go defense.
But it's a huge point, and kudos to Mike Taylor, because like even in the Romo era, there were a lot of guys that you could say. I mean, Dez Bryant, as weird as he was, Tony Romo was a favorite on the defense.
Dan Bailey, even
Marcus Ware, and certainly back in the Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Daryl Moose Johnston was lovable. Charles Haley, Deion Sanders. My God, it's a huge point when you get beyond Dak, and I love your CeeDee Lamb. I think for the future, CeeDee Lamb is going to be a superstar and a lovable Cowboy favorite. I think that's a great call. But at the moment, you get beyond Dak Prescott, and there's not a lot of guys to be your favorite right now.
Yeah, I'd almost say if you're looking to buy a Dallas Cowboys jersey, play it safe and get a guy who's up in the Ring of Honor, and Jason Witten, who's a future Ring of Honor inductee.
What will be Russell Wilson's number with the Cowboys?
What is he now? Is he 12?
You know what? He's 3.
He's
number 3.
Oh, that's right.
So he can be number 3 for the Cowboys. That'll work.
From 4 to 3.
Woo! Yeah. Woo! We go from 9 to 4 to 3.
We sure we don't have another 3 already on.
And if you need a number 2, Johnny Football. And he's number 2 in more ways than one. Johnny Football's out there.
He had emergency dental surgery yesterday and is unavailable for his fancy fan-controlled league this weekend. He's hoping to be back for the playoffs, even though that team is currently 0-2. I guess everyone makes the playoffs in that league. But now, emergency dental surgery, we don't know what it is, though, so don't ask me that. They just emergency dental surgery. He's unavailable.
I am shocked that you, Shannon Salty Sweeney, Longhorn alum, Longhorn lover, and Aggie hater, you actually know that Johnny Manziel, the Aggie, had emergency dental surgery. Do you follow him on Twitter?
I prep every day for the show. It's all just a part of the gig. I'm not.
So do you or do you not follow Johnny Manziel on Twitter?
No.
J Manziel 2, I believe, is his Twitter. I do.
No.
You don't even follow. Do you follow any Aggie on Twitter?
No. I'm trying to think like if someone maybe that I didn't know.
My goodness.
But I don't follow any I pretty much only follow people I know and then check in.
Contest coming.
With athletes.
See, I mean, I follow Johnny Manziel. I follow OJ. I don't like what OJ did to Nicole and Ron Goldman at all. Bad OJ. But he's like you, if OJ says something, I need to know about it because we may need to talk about it on the radio. So I follow OJ. All right. The big question, Shannon, is do we ever invite OJ on the show? Most people have always told me, no, he's a murderer. Come on.
I mean, if there's a murder that's happened, I mean, why not get a guy on to talk us through it seemingly firsthand?
Like, did Carol
Plus,
Baskin do
what
it?
if we had him on and he slipped?
Ooh.
Then that's forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
boom. And he says, Shannon, that time I was killing Nicole. Wow, he said it.
Wait a minute.
Maybe we'll book him. I think given my USC, it's like juice.
Yeah.
I went to SC. Shannon went to Texas. We'll talk a little bit about, the Rose Bowl back in the day.
Our favorite,
we won't bring
pastime activities.
Yeah, we won't bring up, that little thing that happened that you were alleged, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Won't come up.
In a previous life, in a former life or in a future life, what would you do differently?
Exactly.
And why?
Woo. I do remember, and I'm late for the cash giveaway, and we'll do it in a second. When I was at USC as a student, Marcus Allen, my first year at USC, Marcus Allen was a senior, and he was driving around USC in a Mercedes. And people are going, how the hell does Marcus afford a Mercedes Benz? And everybody said, oh, that's OJ's. He hangs out with OJ, a lot, and OJ lets him drive the car. So yeah, they shared more than a car, as it would turn out, but that's a whole different thing. Quick break. Here it is. Sorry, OJ, don't get mad. Sorry, Marcus. It is the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. It goes a little bit something like this.
Let us give you money. Your chance to win $1,000 is right now. Text the nationwide keyword GAME to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. Once again, that's GAME to 200-200. Good luck.
Good luck. Game is the keyword. We do this throughout the day, 12 times, 20 after the hour, the cash giveaway. Somebody's going to win it. It may as well be you. So we hope you won. O.J. Simpson. My goodness. All right, Shannon. What else is on your radar? There are reports, and we'll get into this a little bit later, maybe with Walter Pastor-Creta. Walter's going to join us at 8. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, great friend of the show, great man, going to join us at 8:35. Some speculation that the Spurs are shopping LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. And over the years, I've learned this, and I continue to say it, Shannon. If you think you know what the Spurs are going to do, you don't. And so even though this is apparently a credible, and I'll pull it up here in a second who said this, even though this is supposedly a credible reporter saying he is hearing through the grapevine that the Spurs are shopping LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. It's Mark Spears of ESPN's The Jump. Reporter Mark Spears says he hears the Spurs are shopping LaMarcus and DeMar DeRozan. What do you think, Shannon?
I mean, I've heard the LaMarcus one for a couple of weeks now, so that doesn't surprise me. DeMar DeRozan surprises me in that he's been playing his butt off this season. And I don't know. Okay, you get rid of, it's kind of like with the NBA All-Star. Okay, he didn't make the team, but who would you take off to put him on there if you could? And that's a hard thing to come by. So who is it that you're wanting? Who's in your mind for who you're going to get for him?
Yeah, and both of them, though, and here's an interesting little wrinkle. They're both in the final year of their contracts. So if the Spurs kind of know, like in the case of DeMar DeRozan, if they know DeMar might want to go somewhere else, or if DeMar has even let them know, if that's the case, and you want to get some value for him and not just let him walk at the end of the season. Anyway, we'll get into more of that. Coming up is Shannon's Salty Shakedown. We'll also tell you what happened on this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. Lots coming at you in the world of sports between now and 9. Jeremy Faust, Soundscape Stylist. She is Shannon and Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show.
Knock me down so I get back on my feet. Every best shot. Why don't you hit me with the best shot?
Pat Benatar. Wes Perkins. Wes Perkins says Carol Baskin has the best fed tigers. Hashtag husband kitty food. Christopher Summers, welcome in. Carl Fisher, good morning. Mooses, welcome in. Okay, I got to check something here. Today is Johnny Cash's birthday. It's not a big day for sports birthdays. So I'm taking a quick look at celebrities, and it's not a big day for celebrity birthdays either. Huh. Michael Bolton. All righty. Today's the last day of the contest. Brian just emailed me. Today is the last day of the contest, so we don't have to deal with the contest anymore. Woo! Woo! So I hope you won. Alice Cooper, baby. No more Mr. Nice Guy. It's what Jerry Jones is going to be now in the DAC negotiations. Alice Cooper in Arizona. We used to, in the playoffs, we used to go on the road with the Spurs back in the day. So they had a playoff series many years ago against the Phoenix Suns. And right next to the Phoenix Arena, where the Suns played, I think it was called America West Arena at the time, was a sports bar, Shannon, called Cooperstown. And you're like, yeah, Cooperstown, like, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. No, it was owned by Alice Cooper, but he's a big sports fan. So there was not only sports memorabilia throughout Cooperstown, but there was all kinds of like Alice Cooper memorabilia as well, which was kind of cool. And apparently Alice Cooper's like a big golfer. He loves to golf, and he's apparently you just don't expect to see Alice Cooper out there playing golf. So,
well, the restaurant sounds like an interesting mix. I'm curious if it's still open.
I'll have to Google it. That's a great question. Cooperstown. It was very, very popular back in the day. That was back in the David Robinson, Tim Duncan era. That's how far back that one goes. All right, coming up, the Salty Shakedown. What sports stories are on Shannon's radar? But first, how about this day in sports history? Thank you very much. On this day in 1935, the New York Yankees said, "See ya," to Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, setting all those records, winning all those championships for the New York Yankees. The Yankees, we'll see ya. They released Babe Ruth. He signed with the Boston Braves for the final season of his baseball career. The Boston Braves would eventually become the Atlanta Braves. So, Dak Prescott, if you're listening, if the Yankees can blow out Babe Ruth, maybe you should sign for what Sherry's asking you to sign for, because Russell Wilson wants to come. On this day in 1967, the 9th Daytona 500, it was won by Mario Andretti. By the way, it was his first and only NASCAR Grand National event. He was an IndyCar racer. He won a number of Indy 500s, and it was the only time a driver born outside the United States has won the Great American Race. Mario Andretti was born in Italy. Finally, on this day in 1987, Michael Jordan set the Chicago Bulls single-game scoring record when he scored 58 points in a game. 3 years later, in 1990, he would break that record and score 69 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the most Michael Jordan ever scored in a game, 69 against the Cavs in 1990. That's this day, sports history. Now it's time for sports birthdays. And as I say thank you to John, Paul, George, and Ringo for the song, I blew it yesterday. Yesterday was George Harrison's birthday, and I didn't even say it. George Harrison of the Beatles, the quiet Beatle, the spiritual Beatle. Love me some George. A light day, very light in sports birthdays. The only one that really got me, this day in 1973, Marshall Faulk, who would become an NFL running back with the Indianapolis Colts, and a pretty darn good one, born on this day in New Orleans, Louisiana. Happy birthday, Marshall Faulk. A couple of celebrity birthdays. The great Johnny Cash, The Man in Black was born on this day in 1932. Johnny Cash died in 2003. And crooner Michael Bolton is 68 years old today. Shannon, you ever heard of Michael Bolton?
Yeah, but I think I know him best for his SNL.
That's right.
Pirates bit that he did. I can't even remember that. So
Michael Bolton.
What's the big hit of his?
One of his is Soul Survivor. I want to be your soul survivor. I forget what his others are. A lot of people, find him sappy and a lot of people mock him. But I'm sure when he looks at his bank account, he's cool with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and mock me, everybody.
Fair trade.
Man, I got a lot of royalties. I'm Michael Bolton. Happy birthday, Michael Bolton, Marshall Falk, and the late, great Johnny Cash. Those are your sports and celebrity birthdays, your sports history. And now gather the kiddies around the radio. Crank it up real loud for all the neighbors. Here it is, your salty shakedown.
All right, for those of you who think that I can't show love to Aggies or Sooners, you're wrong. Because we're going to show some love to Kyler Murray because he is showing love to the great state of Texas, his home state. He has donated 90,000 meals to the North Texas Food Bank. He himself was in Texas during the winter storm. He was with his family, and they were also without power and hot water. So he very much firsthand understood just how terrible and awful it was to be in that situation. He said he was lucky to be with his family, but giving back was a no-brainer. He said something to the effect of he's a football guy. He plays football, but he knows he has a greater purpose, and so doing this is just all part of that. Kyler, although he's a Sooner, and he had that little weird exchange with Sam Ehlinger after Sam beat him in the Cotton Bowl, he is a good guy. He's hard not to like. He's kind of got a weird personality, but he has proven himself to be a professional ever since he has entered the league. Obviously, he won Rookie of the Year, or Offensive Rookie of the Year. So he's doing big things and good things as well, which is something we always like to see. Any thoughts on Kyler Murray?
Yeah, a great thing he did. And so absolute total props. Thank you, Kyler, for helping people out when they need it. But Shannon, and you probably agree, when you're from the great state of Texas and you go play for the Oklahoma Sooners, I would vote for any governor who says, I will renounce the Texas citizenship of any and all Texans who went and played for the Oklahoma Sooners, not only now and into the future, but retroactively. Come on, Matthew McConaughey. You run against Greg Abbott for governor. You're a Longhorn. Any Texan who went and played for Oklahoma, you are not a true Texan.
I mean, there's only so many
like Kyler Murray, but you're an Oklahoman now.
There's only so many roster spots, though, within the state of Texas.
Then get better. Then
get better
with some weights.
He was with the Aggies, right?
He was. So if you're a Longhorn, that's a double faux pas.
I mean, he just wanted to play. I think he's a Heisman winner.
Go somewhere else. Go play for Texas Tech.
Play literally anywhere
else.
else.
SMU.
Anywhere but
Oklahoma. That
but
just
Norman.
ticks me off. Hey, we're Oklahoma. No, you're not. Like 90% of your players come from Texas.
So you see him and Baker, because they're pretty much the stars now of the Nissan Heisman House commercials.
Yeah.
And their lookalike OU jerseys.
I renounce them as Texans. No. So you guys can now be Oklahomans. Be proud.
All right.
You're no longer Texans. And when Governor McConaughey introduces that legislation, I will hopefully be there standing behind him.
All right. So you're saying thank you, Kyler, for your donation.
Yes,
we very much support it.
But you're not a Texan.
That'll be all
anymore. You renounced your Texas citizenship when you chose to play for Oklahoma.
Fair enough.
You can still be a good guy.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to the NBA. LeBron James and the Lakers currently sitting at third in the West. They are not playing as hot as they were to start the season. Coming into the All-Star break, a lot of them are going to get some much-needed rest. They've also got some injuries, right, with Dennis Schroeder and Anthony Davis, two big names for that team that they really could use their help. But there was an article in the Los Angeles Times calling out LeBron James for playing too many garbage minutes in meaningless games at this point in the season. We often get down the stretch and find that teams with superstars who have already secured a playoff spot tend to load manage their guys. And a lot of that comes from the players themselves saying they want to be their best in the times it matters most. They're saying he should be doing that now. He's been playing an awful lot of minutes, kind of dragging his team to the victories that they can get. He's 36 years old. They're saying he's trying to be the hero when he should be smart in this case. A lot of times load management is looked down upon, especially from fans, because they pay to go to these games and they get there and see that the star player that some people will travel to another city or state just to watch is sitting on the sideline in a suit because he is not dressed for today's game. He is part of load management. But of course, there's no fans in the stands in most places around the country right now. So why not go ahead and manage your minutes? It doesn't mean you don't have to play at all. You just need to play less than what you've been doing. Now, a lot of people are also comparing him now to Kobe, because in 2013, Kobe dragged his team to the playoffs, and we all know how that ended, a torn Achilles. He was playing about an average of 46 minutes at that age, and it just ultimately didn't work out in his favor. What do you think? Load management with superstars like LeBron James, is LeBron just being LeBron and the guy that just wants to do it all? Because he has done load management in the past when they had that playoff spot. It's not, they're sitting at third right now. It's not like they can't afford to maybe drop a game here or there by resting him. He's obviously going to play in the All-Star game, much to his dismay. So he's not getting the big break that he had hoped for. Should they just sit him? Should they not give him the choice?
He's LeBron. So, I mean, he will dictate what happens. There was a time when I was growing up, if you're an NBA player, you played in the games and you played all the time. And, and sometimes even in garbage time. I think LeBron James, similar to Tom Brady in the NFL, pays very close attention to his body and his conditioning. He's been relatively injury-free throughout his career. I know his first year with the Lakers, he did have that groin injury that kept him out for a lot of games. But I would say, Shannon, let LeBron be LeBron. If LeBron wants to play, let him play. You do raise a cautionary tale with Kobe Bryant when he did get the Achilles injury. But if LeBron wants to play, let LeBron play. I think he knows what his 36 years on this planet and his long NBA career, because he came right out of high school, suggests that he knows what he's doing. So I kind of feel like he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't.
Right.
It's like we criticize Kawhi and others for load management, and now we're criticizing LeBron for playing basketball, which is what he does in life.
And I get, we're in the middle of the season. Some of these games, it's not down the stretch when like every game seems to matter. But like you said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm sure he's waking up this morning and seeing this headline and going through that article with a fine comb. And he's never shied away from commenting on things, especially when they are directed towards him. But yeah, he can't play more minutes than he's already playing. Yeah. So the alternative would be to play less, and then that kind of feeds into the hands of this article. So I'm hoping he does speak on it sometime within the next few days. All right, moving on to the NFL. Woo! The offseason has commenced. I can't wait for the summertime because I love Hard Knocks. It's a great build up to the season. It also gets you a little more interested than you normally would be in a team that is not your own. There are, of course, rules in place where you are able to deny Hard Knocks if you have a first-time head coach, if you've made the playoffs in the last 2 seasons. Right now there are 5 teams with their names in the ring, leading the way. The Dallas Cowboys. Oh, also, if you've been on Hard Knocks in the last 10 years, you can say no, thank you. Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
The Giants. Panthers. Cardinals. The Broncos.
Got to be Cowboys out of those, right? I mean, if you said Jaguars, and again, like you said, first-year coach, Jacksonville Jaguars with Urban Meyer and probably Sunshine.
And they're allowed to throw their hat in the ring. And, obviously the Rams were on it pretty recently, and then they were on it again last year. Yeah. So if your team is willing, I love that show, but that show is typically like you fall in love with those players and those teams, and then they just never seem to live up, right? They're in that position to be on the show for a reason because they haven't been in the playoffs. They haven't been very successful. That's part of the story they put behind it is this is the new guy, and this is the guy we brought in, and this is the rookie, and these are going to be our star players. And look at this coach. Look at what he's doing behind the scenes, the work you don't get to see on Sundays. You're now seeing it. Cheer on these guys. So it's almost like a curse in a way that I'd be nervous if the Cowboys were to be on it. And then it like lets out your dirty laundry of look how I know we already know they're dysfunctional, but look how bad they really are.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know. The Cardinals are interesting to me. We just talked about Kyler Murray. Cliff Kingsbury being the kind of Hollywood looking guy that he is. That holds some interest with me. Also, Hopkins is there. That's something. I don't know if they would like. I don't know if they would rile
the Cowboys have.
Right, but we just talked about like whose jersey are you buying for the Cowboys? And if Dak weren't going to be on the Dallas Cowboys, okay, you get Russell Wilson, whatever.
Well, that's Russell, and that's another great story.
But who are you pumping up on that season of Hard Knocks? You're probably just going to have Jerry because Jerry can't not be there when there's a camera around. Are you kidding me?
There would be Jerry. There'd be the new defensive coach.
Almost wouldn't be the team. It would be the organization.
Yeah, but as you know, and you just alluded to it, Hard Knocks is so good. And every year there are players you've never heard of who Hard Knocks highlights that, as you just said, you fall in love with. So
it's always the last episode's always the worst one.
And I'm sure Leighton Vander Esch would be interesting. Sean Lee, who we just talked about. What is this guy going to come back again? Is he going to be injured again? So there's all kinds of story angles, I think, with the Cowboys.
Okay, so of the 5, you want the Cowboys.
God, yes.
Based on not just your fandom, but overall storylines that you can come up with at this moment. Because free agency is still, we're very new into this. Obviously, the show doesn't start, cameras don't start rolling until training camp.
I think being as objective as I can be, it's hard for I'm a huge Cowboys fan, but those other 4 teams you read, none of them have the sizzle that the Cowboys have. So if I'm hard, and it's been a long time since the Cowboys have been on it.
Yeah, early 2000s, I think.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Right.
And either way, at quarterback, if you got Dak and he's on the franchise tag, it's like, oh man, if is he even going to come back next year? That's a big story. If they trade Dak for Russell Wilson, that's a big story. If they sign Dak, it's like, all right, Dak's got all the money now. Can he lead them to the promised land? You got Zeke being a bonehead. No matter, you can always count on that. Zeke will do something stupid.
Yeah. I've always wondered how they choose who they're going to mic up, because obviously you go in and you automatically think Dak and Zeke and maybe a Sean Lee or Vander Esch and maybe a CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. But I think they're allowed to say, I don't want to be mic'd. I don't want to be this or that. Now, J.J. Watt wanted to be mic'd most of the time because he got to show them, look at all the extra work I'm putting in. But I do remember stories of him saying, like, today, just do not mic me. Like, I'm not in the mood. So I don't know if Dak is franchised. I don't know that I would be, if I was in his position, I would want to be mic'd for that to be documented. And also, like, again, with last year's Rams being on it again, I know they split time with the Chargers, but Jared Goff was really highlighted in that first season, right? We got the infamous him in a helicopter. The sun rises in the west and sets in the east, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this guy is going to be a franchise cornerback." And then he wasn't really on it much last season. So interesting how they're going to pick and choose. Maybe they pick a guy who has been on the team for a while, but he doesn't get a ton of recognition. And then, of course, we have the draft coming. So who knows if they could get a guy who could potentially, hopefully be a superstar on the field, but maybe just also have a great personality for a show like this. So something to keep an eye out on. Again, they don't start filming this. Obviously, it's Hard Knocks with whatever team during spring training. So we have some time. Free agency, the draft has to commence. That should create more storylines for these teams that are available to be on the show this year. But Dallas Cowboys certainly leading the way. And that is today's Salty Shakedown.
Excellent stuff. Again, though, if I'm HBO, first, I want the Cowboys. Secondly, if there's any way you can convince the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Urban, well, Urban has been on the college football panel.
Yeah.
So I was about to say Urban probably wouldn't want it, and maybe he wouldn't, given his first season. He wants to install a whole new culture.
Right.
But man, if you had him and Trevor Lawrence, I would tune. Trevor Lawrence is must-see TV.
Well, and I think like there's already so much pressure with these two together. I mean, he hadn't even been officially drafted yet, and there's already like he is the next guy. They hopefully will come out and perform in a way they haven't in a long time for this organization this season. I think that would really add to it if you also had that Hard Knocks baseline story all throughout preseason. Yeah, especially if there was contention behind the scenes that you know. But I agree. I'd watch that. I mean, I'm gonna watch it anyway, but.
Yeah,
I
and
like
even
that storyline.
the other thing about Hard, even if it's a team you really don't care that much,
I know.
once
When
you
the
watch,
Browns
you
got
go,
it,
oh,
you're like,
damn, I like this.
I don't want to go to Cleveland this summer.
Yeah. Little Mellencamp. He used to be a Cougar. A dude who was a Cougar. John Mellencamp. All right. Coming up. He's not a Cougar, but he's very entertaining. Walter Pasacreta, sports dude. A perennial winner of the Walter Pasacreta Award. Go figure. Which I kind of fictionally created for him. We'll talk about that maybe. And more. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up on the Chris Duel Show. Beth Settle, good morning. Do you have that list of phone numbers in there with Wally's home number? Because when I did the rundown last night, I didn't have it in front of me. If you don't have it, I can probably find it. Welcome, Beth. I'm going to need more coffee.
Chris, our A&M friend who tweeted us yesterday, is now tweeting us again about our Kyler Murray mention.
Yeah, we gave him a lot more ammunition today to flip out about.
He said, Kyler Murray mentioned, I think TU offered him as a safety like they did with Robert Griffin and Johnny Football. What did Vince Young do to help the state? Just wondering. Well, Vince Young doesn't have any money, so.
Cool. Yeah, what Vince Young did to help the state was win a national championship. He provided the state of Texas.
I mean, I know he's talking about after the storm, but Vince Young doesn't have any money to give anyway. He does have his time, which you would hope that he's done something with.
Yeah. I'm getting coffee. I'll be right back. I need coffee.
Jason, thank you. I've had this hat for over 20 years, and a lot of people think it's a Tennessee hat, but I got it from the co-op. Fred, I'd love to see the Cowboys draft any Texas player not named Connor Williams. It's just a rarity, particularly in the quarterback position. Jerry won't do it. Ben says, guaranteed not to make the playoffs if we do Hard Knocks. Very much agree. It's its own special kind of curse. Yes, Louisa, it's a Texas baseball cap.
Woo!
From the 90s. Connor Williams was the last Texas football player drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. Before that, it was Jeff Swaim, tight end.
Yeah, there was a guy who died yesterday who was like the only Dallas Cowboy to like grow up in Dallas. I think he went to Highland Park High School and then went to SMU and then played for the Cowboys like very early. I saw that story yesterday and I forgot his name. I think his last name was Roach. I wasn't familiar with him. Very early in the Landry era. John Roach, the only person to play football for Highland Park, SMU, and the Dallas Cowboys, died this week at the age of 87. He was a quarterback. Not a lot of playing time behind Don Meredith. He backed up Bart Starr at Green Bay for a few years. Oh, great. Now that Dallas Morning News is hitting me with the paywall. Thank you. We got him. That's him. Cool. Thank you, Dallas Morning News. And your paywall. So I will just Wikipedia John Roach. Or no, I won't because we're back. Here we go.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
Yolanda, good morning. Fred Robert Casares Jr., good morning.
Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, yeah.
Now, Chris Duel.
8 o'clock hour on a Friday. Chris Duel Show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney as we embark upon the weekend. It is a sports weekend that will bring us Texas Tech versus Texas. I said Texas Tech first because they host the game tomorrow. That'll be on CBS. That's an 11 a.m. game on CBS tomorrow, Shannon. I don't love the 11 a.m. games, but, you know.
Neither does Texas. Historically,
right?
it's not a great time, but and also the fact it makes me nervous that Tech is on a 3-game slide, losing to West Virginia, Kansas, and then an unranked Oklahoma State because we are on their home court, and I'm sure they want to turn things around just like Texas does. And it was close last time, 79-77 victory for Tech over Texas.
The beautiful United Supermarkets Arena in Lubbock, Texas. Beautiful downtown Lubbock, I'm assuming. All right. So there's that. We'll get into that in a little bit. We want to bring on board longtime sports broadcaster, a fixture on the San Antonio sports scene for many, many years. I mentioned going on Spurs road trips like to Phoenix and Cooperstown. A man who was on board for a lot of those is this man, sports provocateur, restaurateur with his Wally's Deli food truck, and apparently going to dive into the world of podcasting soon. We'll talk about that as well. The lovely and talented Walter Pasacreta, welcome back.
Hello, folks. How are you today?
We are good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've never been to Cooperstown with you. In fact, I've never been to Cooperstown.
I thought because it was a Spurs playoff road trip. I remember, in fact, I've got a photo in there with the gorilla, the late great Andrew Ashwood, who was our boss at Cooperstown in Phoenix, and I could have sworn you were on that trip.
What's Cooperstown?
It is a sports bar right next to the Phoenix Suns Arena, or at least what was then America West Arena. I'm not sure if they play in another arena now. They probably do, because that was the early 2000s. And it's a sports bar owned by Alice Cooper. So you've got sports memorabilia in the bar, and you've got Alice Cooper memorabilia.
Well, when you said Cooperstown, I immediately think of the Baseball Hall of Fame, not Florida and Arizona.
Well, and that's what the cool play on words is. It's a sports bar called Cooperstown, and you automatically think, it's baseball themed, but it's sports and Alice Cooper memorabilia.
Oh, a strung out musician. Okay, I got you.
He's a very good golfer, Walter. I'm just saying. So
I've heard that. I saw that recently. He's a terrific golfer.
Yeah. So anyway, so Wally, the big story today for Dallas Cowboys fans, it broke yesterday. Russell Wilson, quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, not really enjoying the way things are going there, apparently not getting along with Pete Carroll, the coach and management. Reportedly, he has a no trade clause in his contract, but there are 4 teams he would be open to being traded to: the New Orleans Saints, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Chicago Bears, and America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think of Russell Wilson as a Dallas Cowboy?
That's not going to happen. I mean, seriously? He's not leaving. And how about, I would love to be in a situation where my team and their quarterback and the coach can't get together and they don't like each other anymore, and they can. That situation, that's great. Obviously, than Deshaun Watson, because Watson is in no way, as we found out yesterday, in no way wants to return to Houston, the Texans, and play quarterback. This isn't the situation with Russell Wilson, in my opinion. So I don't see him go to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys have their quarterback, don't they?
That's a good question.
Up in the air, Wally. It's up in the air. Now, if I recall, you're a Jets fan because he doesn't have a contract.
He's Cowboys property. He's not going anywhere. At least this season, he's not going anywhere.
I wouldn't say that with 100%.
I'll believe it when I see the signature on the paper that keeps him here for years to come. Now, Wally, all these markets that Russell has said he would go to, we've got Dallas, we've got Chicago, we've got Las Vegas, all big markets. The New Orleans, maybe not the biggest, but still very popular. Obviously, a fan base that adores their players. But interesting that New York, either with the Jets or the Giants, isn't one of those areas that he'd be willing to go, because he's obviously a marketing guy. He's a guy who's in commercials. He's a guy who gets so much money from everything else outside of the game. Does that surprise you at all? And as a Jets fan, would you be happy to take him if the Jets could somehow convince him that, hey, this is a place you want to be?
Oh, of course. I mean, any fan base would love to have Russell Wilson. But the reason why the Jets and the Giants aren't on that list is because they both suck.
I mean, the Cowboys aren't great either.
The Big Apple.
Right, it's the market. It's, I mean, because you look at the Bears and the Cowboys right now, or not playoff teams. I mean, the Bears shouldn't have been this year, but they were. But
a big megastar, no matter where you play football in the NFL. So I don't think that matters. And again, why on earth would you want to play for the New York Jets that are? Listen, I think the apple is certainly pointing upward, but you're going to spend the last years of your career in New York playing for the Jets and have no chance of winning a Super Bowl. That certainly is not the Tom Brady way of doing things.
Yeah, but if the Jets ever got their act together as a franchise, you look back historically at what Joe Namath did and who he was, and Broadway Joe. If you can be a quarterback in New York City, and Eli Manning did it, won a couple of Super Bowls. If you could be a quarterback in New York City, and if you would be the first guy since Joe Namath to lead the Jets to the promised land, I imagine you would be, a god in New York for the rest of your life. And, for a lot of people, as you're from there, to make it big in the Big Apple is very, very appealing.
Yeah, there's no better place. And if you're the guy that spearheads the championship for the first time in we all know how long it's been, whether it's for the Knicks, whether it's for the Jets, those two losing franchises, you would be the king of that city forever. But right now, neither one of those teams is in that position to do that. So for Russell Wilson, we can agree he's going towards the end of his career, not the beginning. This is not a destination that he wants to go to, and that's obvious why the Jets are not on this list.
Yeah, and for the record, and we talked earlier, Russell Wilson is 32 years old, turning 33 during the season this next coming 2021 season. Talking football and more with Walter Pasacreta. Wally, obviously the big story of the week was the crash involving Tiger Woods. Just wanted to get your thoughts on it, your perspective on the accident, the media coverage, Tiger himself, and what you think might be next for Tiger Woods after this.
Well, I think like everyone else, the first thing I thought of was Kobe Bryant when I saw that the debris all over the field there. That was the first thing that came to mind. The other thing that I would say would be if Tiger Woods could ever somehow play golf again, that would be an incredible feat. But he won his biggest match the other day when he survived that car accident, because maybe most people don't. And Tiger Woods was able somehow to find a way and survive that car crash, and that's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, you look at that vehicle, obviously, and I think a lot of scenarios where he could have lost his life, and certainly if he's not wearing the seatbelt, I don't think he survives that. Regarding Tiger, and Shannon and I talked about this earlier in the week, when Kobe died, a lot of people said, look at what we're missing out on for the next 30 years of Kobe Bryant. He was beginning, to work with his daughter. He was an ambassador for basketball. He was getting into filmmaking. He had won an Oscar. He was going to reportedly come out with his own shoe line. Even assuming Tiger never plays golf again, do you think he's still going to be a big deal in golf? Do you think he's going to still be in the media and a big deal? Obviously, it seems like Kobe sought out the media more than Tiger, but Tiger's got a lot of endorsements. He was shooting a video with Drew Brees, or on his way to shoot a video with Drew Brees the morning of the accident. Do you think, no matter what, as far as his recovery for golf, are we still going to see a lot of Tiger Woods after this?
Well, I would think we would, being he's just as competitive a person as we've ever seen, and that fire doesn't go away. So I would think he'll somehow, some way, either be in the golf world, in the sports world, somehow be on TV. That's what I would expect. Even though he hasn't been, he wasn't the most media-friendly guy there ever has been in the beginning of his career. Lately, he has been a better guy, and he's been more fan-friendly in those things. So I would expect Tiger Woods to be in the media somewhere, just because he's going to need to fuel that competitive fire that he has.
He is Walter Pasacreta. Walter covered the Spurs for many, many years, many memorable moments between Wally and Spurs coach Greg Popovich. Doing a little sparring during interview sessions was always fun to watch. Wally, some rumors out there and reported by our friend Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs. I believe it's Mark Spears of ESPN's The Jump, saying that he is hearing that the Spurs are looking, not necessarily, ready to make the trade, but entertaining the possibility of moving either DeMar DeRozan and or LaMarcus Aldridge before the trade deadline, which is about a month away. Now, both of these guys are in the final year of their contract. If they wound up going somewhere else, you don't want to get nothing for them. So you could make the argument maybe the Spurs are looking to get some value for either of these guys. What do you think the Spurs make a move before the trade deadline, and might it be DeMar DeRozan or LaMarcus Aldridge?
Tricky spot, the Spurs, because you would have liked to have them either just soar to the top or just crash right to the bottom. That way you know what direction you want to go in. Right now, they're right on that line between being a buyer or a seller at the trade deadline. They're good enough to make the playoffs. They're not good enough to win a championship. So which way will they go? To me, and having the experience of covering them, as you said, all these years, they're going to build for the future. That's always what is their goal, is the future. And right now, their future doesn't include a championship. Not the way they are today. They need more pieces. And I would think certainly DeMar DeRozan is an option moving forward. Whether he wants to continue to play here, that's a whole other story. I'm sure the Spurs know better than anyone else. As for LaMarcus Aldridge, if you're going to make him a part-time player, as apparently they will now as he comes off the bench, is that going to get are you going to be able to get the most value for your money with LaMarcus Aldridge, putting him in that position? I was pretty surprised that they went in that direction, but they are clearly a better team without him on the floor. That's pretty clear. They are, free moving, fast, athletic when he's not on the floor. So I think if you asked me which two players will get moved, I would say LaMarcus Aldridge would be the guy I would choose to move.
While we're on the subject of DeMar and the Spurs, are you surprised that he was left off the NBA All-Star reserves list?
There's so many good guards in the West, and that doesn't mean that DeMar DeRozan isn't a good guard. He's a very good guard. There's a lot of guys that are ahead of him, and unfortunately, he didn't make the cut. He certainly is playing at an all-star level. There's no question about that. But I just think there was too many guys ahead of him.
He is Walter Pasacreta, longtime sports broadcaster, now, among other things, a restaurateur, a mobile restaurateur with Wally's Deli food truck, which, Wally, we've talked about it, and I've seen on social media, is back up and running. Any locations coming up either today or over the weekend or next week for Wally's Deli food truck?
Yeah, we're at Union Square today, which is an office building complex over by the airport, 281 and let me think, 281 in Tacoma.
Very nice.
That's where the food truck will be for lunch today, and somewhere else for dinner. I can't remember.
So go find.
Today.
Yeah, go find Wally's Deli food truck or Walter on Facebook to figure out where it's going to be for dinner. Now, I did see you post this on social media, Wally, and I think it's a great idea because I've always been a big fan of your work as a broadcaster, as a sports guy, as a radio guy. You put the call out there. You want to partner with someone and you want to launch a podcast. Any ideas yet what the podcast would be named or what the podcast, the theme of the podcast would be?
Yeah, I got all that information. It would be called This Day in Sports. And basically what I will do is, with a partner and more importantly, a salesperson, would be I would go back to a specific day in sports and talk about it, whether it was, the Miracle on Ice, whether it was the Spurs title in 1999, and everything that goes into it. What was the day like? What was the weather like? What were the people thinking at that time? Did you think the Spurs were going to win that night? All of those things, and we'll try to get a guest who was in the building or at that event at that time. And it's basically a reference point for people who weren't alive at that time to experience that. Because there's only so much you can get from watching a YouTube video. So you want to hear from somebody that was at the event. You'd always, at least I did. I always wondered about what the people were thinking about as they were filing into the arena up in Lake Placid in 1980. Did they think the Americans had any chance of beating Russia? Any of that kind of stuff? What was the mood like as that game was getting underway there in Lake Placid? Those are the things I'd like to know. And we'll kind of get all involved in those specific days in sports.
Wow, I think it's a great idea. I see Kevin Monk on Facebook just said, sign me up, Wally. I think and like yesterday, it's funny you bring that up, this day in sports. Yesterday, Wally, was the day in 1989 that Jerry Jones fired Tom Landry, and it was announced that he would be the new owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And we know he brought in Jimmy Johnson, and famously, like 2 nights earlier, there were photographs at a Dallas restaurant cantina of Jerry and Jimmy having beers together, laughing. And there's a photo, and I posted it yesterday on Twitter in response to what somebody else said about it. There's a photo of Jerry Jones doing the press conference that day in 1989, and Tex Schramm, the longtime founding general manager, in fact, the guy who hired Tom Landry for Clint Murchison, is looking over at Jerry Jones, and he's just got this look of disdain and even hatred on his face. It's like hell has come today is the look on Tex Schramm's face. It's absolutely classic, man. I'd love to see you do something on that someday.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And again, there's so many people that we've aged. I'm going to turn 57 next week. So we've aged, and there's a ton of people. My 11-year-old son, he doesn't know anything about these, the Miracle on Ice. He doesn't know about the Spurs title in '99. He doesn't know anything about those things, and you can't get a full sense of it watching it on YouTube. You need the whole ball of wax about that specific day, that specific event. Oh, and one of them we want to go back and look at is the Thriller in Manila. And I'm sure half of the audience listening right now has no idea what the Thriller in Manila is.
Yeah, Ollie Frazier. It's so funny. Bill Schoening brought that up. We were talking. Bill Schoening wrote a song about Joe Frazier and was talking a few weeks ago to us about the Thrilla in Manila. Wally, if anybody's listening, you say you're especially looking for a salesperson to partner with you on this. What's the best way? I know you're on Twitter at SA Radio Boy. What's the best way for people to find you if somebody's listening right now?
That's it. They can go that way, Chris. That'd be the best way.
All right, on Twitter, and whether or not you want to partner with Wally, he's a great follow on Twitter at SA Radio Boy. Walter Pasacreta, always great, man. Thanks for taking the time. Have a great weekend.
You too, folks. Thank you.
All right, coming up, James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, James Allen is an Aggie, so we'll see if Shannon will even talk with him in the next segment. We know she won't follow him on Twitter. She follows no Aggies on Twitter that we're aware of.
I don't think he has Twitter.
I don't think he does either. We'll have to ask him because he has an Instagram. I've seen James Allen on Instagram.
Well, no,
does
not
he
there.
have a Twitter? And if he has a Twitter, will Shannon follow him? These and more questions will be answered next. And does he want Russell Wilson, a surefire Hall of Famer, to be the next quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys? That's all coming up. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame is next. We're with you till 9. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo!
Who cares about the clouds if we're together?
Woo! Woo! Happy trails. Yes, Carl, that's a great point. I saw there's an Astros game, I think on Sunday in spring training. All right. Do I want more coffee? I don't think so. I think I'm going to switch to water. Wow. Yolanda writes, LaMarcus Aldridge is a boil on the ass of the Spurs and needs to be excised off. Ouch. Not a lot of love for LaMarcus there, Yolanda. I just saw on Twitter a good friend of mine, Dee McNary. It is her birthday. I think I've got Dee's number in my phone. So I'm going to send her a text if I can find her.
Hey, Chris, do you need to run after the end of the show today?
Ideally, what do you need?
I just wanted to pick your brain about something real quick about a project I might be doing.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
So I'll just end the broadcast and then we can talk.
Sounds good.
A couple quick minutes. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, what happens on Fridays during the week? I stay at my mom. She's 97.
Right.
And then during the weekend, so we switch. And on Fridays, my sister comes over and stays until Monday. So it's like moving out of a hotel. It's like rooms. It's like I gotta like.
You don't have a drawer or anything?
Yeah, it's moving day, and I gotta clean. I gotta do dishes. I gotta vacuum. It's like I'm the hotel room service. So that's why
She returns the favor, right? When it's
she does. Yeah. When I walk in, the place looks great again. So yeah. And I'm a notorious mess. So that's what I go do on Fridays. But yeah, no, we'll just let me know when we're off the air. That way I can swear. So we'll have some fun here with the whole Aggie Longhorn thing with James.
Yeah. And then I also want to bring up the newest addition to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the mask.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. Thank you.
I mean, they could still be wearing masks next year. We don't know.
Right. Thank you, Fred. You're very kind. Wow. Fred says LaMarcus Aldridge is a big disappointment. He's overrated and past his prime. Now, this is just my personal opinion on him. Yeah, there's a lot of Spurs fans. What I don't like.
A lot of Texas fans.
Yeah, that's true. Don't forget he's a Longhorn. You're right. But Spurs fans very quickly turned on LaMarcus, like publicly and on social media. And I feel bad for him. First of all, he came in the shadow of Tim Duncan as Tim Duncan was beginning to retire. So you're never going to fill Tim Duncan's shoes. And I just, Spurs fans who are on social media, I would hope would behave better toward their own players. I just don't like what I've seen some Spurs fans throw at LaMarcus. I wish they behaved better. John Williams just sent me a Spurs pounding the rock story, the argument for returning to the bubble. Yeah, but the thing is, I think the players just don't want to do that. I just hear that was restrictive for them. I mean, it worked. It was effective as far as not getting games canceled.
It was like the Snowmageddon. It was really fun at first. Everyone's there. It's different. And then after you've been there for a while, and everything's the same, you're like, get me out of here.
Yeah, a local sportscaster, Don Harris, tweeted like on the Thursday of the snow week. He goes, "Remember way back when we were all taking photos of the snow in our backyard and really enjoying this?" He goes, "Yeah, me too. I'm ready for this to be over with, and I don't want to see it for another 25 years."
One, I don't know. I know Disney World wasn't open at the time.
True.
I believe, at least for part of it, and now they are. So I don't even know if Disney would be like, well, we're making more off of these people who come and spend thousands of dollars a night.
Yeah.
And both in the hotels and in the parks and everything else.
Yeah. Plus, the lifestyle of a millionaire NBA player, especially if they have a family, but even if they don't, They're not used to being sequestered. I'm sure they don't like it. Good morning, Laura Burris. Welcome in. John McGee. John McGee says that's what fans do. When players are playing well, they worship them. When they don't, they want to trade them. It's like that with all sports. Yeah, John, but and again, I'm wrong on this, and I guess I was being overly optimistic. I've always felt that the Spurs fans had a kind of a different and an elevated relationship with the Spurs, and maybe it's because they were winning in the Tim Duncan era and David Robinson for so long. Here we come. Yeah. Jeremy Fouts getting us all riled up for the weekend. It is the Chris Duel Show. Welcome in. I'm Chris Duel, along with Texas Longhorn alum Shannon Salty Sweeney. And I think I've come to the conclusion, and I may be wrong, that she doesn't follow any Texas Aggies on Twitter. Is that accurate, Shannon?
That I know of.
That we know of.
If I do, it's a huge mistake on my part.
Wow. Now, James Allen is a Texas Aggie alum, a great football player at Texas A&M, and of course now on the board of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't think James is on Twitter. We're going to find out right now. James Allen, welcome back.
Well, thank you, Chris, and hook 'em horns, Shannon.
Wow, that's very big of you. You're not a kick 'em Aggies back at him, Shannon?
Nope, can't do it.
That's why she
I have a gag reflex.
See, and granted, you're an Aggie, James, and Shannon's a Longhorn, and I'm kind of an independent observer here. But I always, to me, when the Aggies are doing great and the Longhorns are doing great, I think that's better for Texas. And I sure as heck wish they still played football every Thanksgiving.
Well, and not to pick on, I was going to UT first. That's why I love the Longhorns. At the last minute, I switched, but. That's all the Lost God and the whole Longhorn Network. So that's on them. But anyway, that's another story. And A&M did reciprocate very well. So the business of politics and football at the very top, just like the Cowboys and everything else, it all starts at the top. So.
Well, and I remember James Red McCombs, and we know he's a huge Longhorn benefactor, but Red said that game between the Aggies and the Longhorns does not belong to the Longhorns, does not belong to the Aggies. It belongs to the people of Texas, and that game should return. I sure wish the powers that be, DeLost Dodds is gone, as we know. I sure wish the powers that be at Texas and at A&M would find a way, because I think we're all missing out on that thing.
Red was my mentor for a long time. And Shannon, he didn't do a lot of Aggies, so you can do it. And Red is as big as Longhorn I've ever met. And I don't want to discuss, Red's thing online is without giving up any things, but I can assure you, Red did try to push the board around this whole Longhorn Network, try to do everything else and some other stuff I won't get into because it goes back to tradition in football, not a business. And just like the Aggies reciprocated later in response and left the conference, and rightfully so to some degree, but really not rightfully so. In fact, I got in a lot of trouble at A&M, and I told them they could get rid of all my stuff, and the Hall of Fame kind of said, hey, you want to be remembered at the Hall of Fame or A&M? And I said, I'll take the Hall of Fame. So long story short, Red had pushed for that for a long time, during the Lost Dot and afterwards. And State Farm even offered Lyle Larson, state rep, even got State Farm to put up $7 million to re-put the game. So it's a long story, but it just happened, and it's a shame. And I do miss the rivalry because, like I said, I really do love those schools. I actually was going to UT first, so I'm with you, brother.
A man who knows both schools very, very well, James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, James, I know you have an Instagram account. Do you have a Twitter account? And if not, why not?
I had a Twitter, and I actually was trying to get off Instagram, but I didn't know they make it really hard. I'm not on Facebook. And one time because I'm my high school, I'm the head of co-head of the reunion committee for all these years, and all the A&M stuff, including what I did in certain areas. And then I don't know if you know, I was president of the school the last couple of years and all this other stuff. And there's a lot of, negativity, and I'm a very positive person and always look at stuff. And as you know, Chris, I'm a very private person, and I'm not on anything. But, I would be tempted to say, if Shannon follow me, I'd get back on, but I'm not on any social media. I think I'm on LinkedIn.
Business. That's for business people.
Well, speaking of Shannon, James, you brought up the Pro Football Hall of Fame earlier in the week because there's a new display at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Probably the display that will get the most visitors in the next year, probably send people running to Ohio. Andy Reid's mask, along with a game-worn hat, is on display now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I personally think it's a little too soon. We don't even know if they're going to be able to go on the field without masks next year, but I thought it is really funny. It is history. There's no doubt about that. I mean, in 10, 15 years, you'll have people going through there going, what in the world? Why is that even here? And they'll have to stop and actually read the little plaque because it won't be as self-explanatory. But what's your thoughts on this addition to the Hall of Fame?
Well, it's kind of a thing the Hall of Fame does. I could give you 1,000 examples to take up too much radio time, but whether Calvin Johnson, when he did the 300-something yards, he sent his shoes to the Hall of Fame. The players and the coaches actually want it there, and the Hall of Fame wants to display it. These you have to be at the very highest moments. So people send stuff all the time, and we display it. I mean, if you go to the Hall of Fame, there's a ton of stuff displayed, and I like it because the NFL's been around 101 years, and we didn't ever wear a mask on the sideline. So I think whether we needed, Andy Reid can obviously get another mask, or if it doesn't, it just shows a moment in history of something that was extremely unusual.
And do we know which game-worn mask this is? Is this the Texans mask where it was all fogged up, or is this the later ones and which they had the defogger going for them?
More beyond my pace, I could call the Hall of Fame. As usual, you stump me, and I think I know most everything, but I don't know which mask he sent to the Hall of Fame.
Well, and I was telling Shannon on the show, James, I hope that in the very near future, some kid is showing up in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and sees the Kansas City Chiefs cap and the face shield and says, Daddy, Mommy, what is that? And I'm hoping that the pandemic will soon be a distant memory. But I totally agree. I mean, just like leather helmets with no face mask back in the day that we look at now and go, oh, my God, they used to play football in these. It is a relic. It is a piece of history. And it is, with Andy Reid wearing it, something very, very memorable, I think, forever now.
I agree with you. And that's hence why the Hall of Fame coordinated with Andy Reid to get that in the Hall.
All right, James, I got to ask you, it's a big Cowboys story that broke yesterday. Russell Wilson, quarterback, Seattle Seahawks, apparently not happy with management right now, not happy with head coach Pete Carroll. Apparently open to a trade. He's got a no trade clause in his contract, but he reportedly has 4 teams he would be open to going to: Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders, New Orleans Saints, and America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think about maybe Dak for Russell Wilson, and maybe the Cowboys throw in either the number 10 pick or Michael Gallup? What do you think about the prospect of Russell Wilson as a Cowboys quarterback?
I think it's slim for this reason, and I have to be very careful because Jerry is a Hall of Famer, and he's also on our board. I don't care about him being on the board. I can speak openly, but the Hall of Famers, as you know, don't talk about each other. Just when the Terrell Owens events, they have their own special team, and it's a long story how they forged that. When you join the Hall of Fame, you go to a special luncheon, and they let you have it. Like, this is a team that's inside of a team. You can never be cut, never be traded. So I don't want to, although I'm not a Hall of Famer, And I don't want to say too much on that, but Jerry, his negotiating style, which is, and he's even admitted on the back, is 1 year apart. I mean, who cares? I mean, most people were doing 4-year deals, and he went a 5-year deal, and that's the problem. And Jerry admitted this in the Hall of Fame speech. His wife said when everything goes great, Jerry has to mess it up because he just wants to be in the middle of stuff. He's like Dan Snyder at the Redskins. He just, you know, and he admits this. So that's his own words, and he continues, just like he followed Jimmy Johnson, he continues to go, man, I screwed up. And I don't think his ego will, and we all have egos. I mean, I have an ego, but I don't think his pattern is going to allow him to do another mistake like that. It's just not it. And he can't, if he franchises him, which he did last year, which everybody was laughing at, and it cost, I mean, what is he at now? $37 million if he gets franchised. And if he goes next year, $54 million.
Wow.
So, you know, just like he did with, who was a running back, you know, went to the Eagles, I forgot, was killing it. And Jerry Jones played hardball. He played hardball with things, and he doesn't edify his linemen. I'm just going to tell you something.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray, and his career was never the same again when he went to the Eagles and beyond. Yeah.
Right, well, because he had the best lineman in the thing. I mean, just like Emmett Smith. I mean, no offense to Emmett, but, you know, Walter Payton and Barry Sanders and Earl Campbell and all those other guys, Jim Brown was his own line. But, you know, you have to have a line. And you have to have a team thing. I mean, Tom Brady, just as a tangent, what the difference is culture. If you talk to the Roonies at those Steelers, why are they always winning? Because they get involved with their players, listen to them, talk to them, get around their agents. Don't play hardball. This is not, Jerry, you're not buying oil wells or real estate. And now the Mark thing is you hold out, you stick a finger up, and he's going to mess up. And he did last year, over 1 year, and it cost him a fortune. And it's going to cost him another fortune. And if he doesn't do it this year by what's the trade deadline?
March 9th is the next one. Yeah.
Right. If he doesn't do that, it's $54 million next year. I mean, that's Dak's gone. So Dak's holding all the cards. Jerry has not produced a successful team since Jimmy Johnson, doing it his way, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, Dan Snyder finally got out of the way. You know, I don't care if Dak stays or Russell. I want a general manager as a Cowboys fan. So that's what I'm saying. But it's Jerry's team, and he can do what he wants. And guess what? Cowboy fans keep showing up, and people keep writing checks. And Jerry's going to do it his way.
It makes my
kind of how he became successful. He does things his way.
It makes my heart happy that you say that you don't see Russell to the Cowboys in a trade for Dak, but nonetheless, there does seem to be some contention between the Seahawks and Russell. Do you think that's more of a Pete Carroll thing, as we're possibly hearing with him and Russell, or an organizational thing where, like you mentioned with the Steelers, how they really listen to their players and hear what they want and try to make those kinds of things happen for them, especially for their quarterbacks? Or is this Russell just being done, ready for a new adventure? Maybe his wife wants to live somewhere else in one of these bigger markets. What are your thoughts on that?
He's a very savvy businesswoman. Russell's very strong Christian. I mean, that's a side tangent. This is an organizational thing. Look, I don't know Jody Allen, which is the late Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, the owner of this thing. But, you know, 2018, I'm going to put it this way with Pete Carroll. And I know Pete. So Pete Carroll reminds me of, now, this is a bad example for a lot of people, because I love this next coach, Marty Schottenheimer. Marty was always conservative, always won, but he never got very far, right?
Yeah.
Pete is a run-first guy in a pass league, and he has been for years. This contention goes back to 2018. And I'm just going to tell you, just like the Patriots have done, unlike these other guys, and no offense to the Packers with throwing all this money at Aaron Rodgers and Matty Ice at the Falcons, and I know the owners of the Falcons, Tom Brady takes $12 million, $10 million, $12 million, and says you have to give the money to the line of the other players. Okay?
Yeah.
And you see players. That's what Tom Brady is great at. His locker room presence. He says hi to the Cowboys. He signs all the things. He creates this. Most of these quarterbacks get $45 million. The linemen are pissed. People are pissed. And Jerry's hiring these mercenaries, and he's been doing this for years, ever since Jimmy Johnson left. And Jimmy, along with Michael Irvin, kept all those players together. And he used the University of Miami anyway. I'm getting on a tangent. The point is, it's an organizational thing. I don't know Jody Allen, but this has been going on since 2018. Paul was kind of, at the end, you've got to let a guy like, and I'll give you one example. I was was very blessed to sit on the front row at Lambeau Field for Brett's last season. I got to go to the opening games, and I'm watching Mike McCartney and Brett. And Brett's trying to handle it. And Mike McCartney says, "Do it my way, do it." And I'm right there, and I can see what they're saying. Finally, Mike McCartney goes, "Second half, go ahead, do it your way," and they win. Mike McCartney, just like they did with Tom Brady at the Bucs, okay? Just like the Rooneys did with Ben Roethlisberger. You can't, and I have to defend Governor McConaughey if he gets in. About the Oklahoma thing. However, the Aggies, because we brought in a coach who'd never been in the big leagues to University of Houston, we got rid of a Super Bowl champion who brought in Mike Evans, Jokel, Johnny Manziel, all these first rounders, everything else.
James, we got like 20 seconds left in the segment. I hate to cut you off because you're on a roll and we're loving it, man. But we got a hard out here at the top. So thanks, James. Let's do this again next week if you're available, man. We love having you on. Yeah, no, that's a longer segment. We might have to get you on at 8 o'clock next time because that's a longer segment than this one. James Allen on the board of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He rocks. You cannot follow him on Twitter because he doesn't have a Twitter account. Shannon Salty Sweeney, Jeremy Fouts, thank you so much. Walter Pasacreta, James Allen. We will see you on Monday. Go Spurs, go, and go Longhorns. Beat the Red Raiders.
Have you home after almost 60 days. I love you guys. Love my son at Churchill. Mom, 2 daughters. Bye, guys.
Amen.